And there's a place for tariffs. Tariffs should be used when you're punishing bad actors, protecting specific national interests. But the president is using tariffs in this on again, off again, unpredictable.
Welcome back to the conservative current, where truth doesn't take a weekend off, and neither do patriots like you and me. Now let me ask you this. Have you ever seen a president who fights as hard for America, even on a Saturday? Because while the media was busy complaining about brunch being ruined, President Donald J. Trump was making moves, bold, unapologetic moves, to protect American workers, American industry, and our national interests. That's right, folks.
Yeah, Frederica, I just want to take a step back here to get to the root of all of this economic uncertainty. You will recall President Trump essentially launched a global trade war back in April when he sent those reciprocal tariffs, reshaping the global economic order and really rocking markets. He issued a 90-day pause shortly after that amid so much market volatility. That 90-day pause came up this week. The president announced he was extending that deadline to August 1st, allowing a little bit more time, but he was going to start sending out personalized letters to leaders of different U.S. trading partners. And we are seeing that just today, a pair of letters sent to Mexico and the European Union, of course, two of the United States' biggest trading partners, setting a tariff rate of 30% for both the EU and Mexico. Now, I want to read to you a little bit from that letter to Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum. The president wrote, quote, "Mexico has been helping me secure the border, but what Mexico has done is not enough." That he went on to say there will be no tariff if Mexico or companies within your country decide to build or manufacture product within the United States. Now, shortly following that letter, a top Mexican economic official said that U.S. and Mexican officials had met on Friday, and the Mexican officials conveyed that that 30% tariff marked, quote, unfair treatment, and that they did not agree. Of course, they did agree to continue to keep negotiating and try to get to a better deal. Also on the EU side, the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, she says they are ready to continue working toward an agreement by that August 1st deadline. Of course, all of this contributing to so much mounting uncertainty for investors, consumers, and businesses alike leading up to that August 1st deadline.
This weekend, President Trump announced 30% tariffs on Mexico and the European Union. Let me break it down for you. The globalists are already losing their minds. CNN, MSNBC, and the rest of the liberal echo chamber are calling this a trade war. They say Trump is weaponizing the economy. You know what I say? Damn right he is. Because for decades, we've been in an economic war. We just refuse to fight back. Our leaders were too busy signing off on lopsided trade deals, outsourcing our jobs, and kissing the boots of foreign bureaucrats in Brussels and Mexico City. But not Trump. This man sends a letter directly to Mexico's new president, Claudia Sheinbaum, and tells her flat out, you want to avoid tariffs? Start building your products here in the United States. That's leadership. That's leverage. That's what putting America first actually looks like. Now, of course, the left and their talking heads are whining. Democratic Congressman Brad Schneider, you know, one of those guys who thinks the government knows better than the people, said tariffs are a tax on the consumer. Well, guess what, Brad? So are open borders. So is inflation. So is the death of American manufacturing. You can't put a price on economic sovereignty. Let's talk fact for a second. For years, American manufacturers have been bleeding because of unfair competition. Foreign companies exploit cheap labor, dump products into our markets, and undercut American workers. And the globalist elite? They profit from it. You think Nancy Pelosi or George Soros loses sleep when a factory in Michigan shuts down? No, but Trump does. That's why he launched this tariff strategy in April. And after giving them 90 days, even giving them an extension, he followed through. Unlike Joe Biden, Trump doesn't bluff, and he sure as hell doesn't beg. Cut in. Footage of Trump rally. Crowd chanting USA. USA. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Uncertainty. Yeah, it makes the markets nervous. Small businesses are trying to figure out their next steps. But folks, here's the truth. Short-term discomfort is the price of long-term independence. Real change isn't easy. It's disruptive, but it's necessary. Do you remember when Ronald Reagan took on the Soviet Union and rebuilt our military? That wasn't comfortable, but it was right. Do you remember when Trump pulled out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership and renegotiated NAFTA into the USMCA? The media cried then, too. But it worked, and it'll work again. President Trump is playing 4D chess while the left is still stuck playing Candyland. He's applying pressure at the right time, in the right way. Mexico's already back at the table. The EU's Ursula von der Leyen says they are ready to talk. Why? Because they need us more than we need them. That's the beauty of being an economic powerhouse. Let me say it loud and clear. America is not a doormat anymore. We don't owe anyone a free ride. Not Mexico. Not the EU. Not China. Nobody. And let me ask you, what's the alternative? Go back to the Biden days of begging the world for help? Letting China control our supply chains? Letting Europe dictate our trade laws? Never again. So yes, this will ruffle feathers. This will shake up markets. But for the first time in decades, the man in the Oval Office is fighting for you. The farmer, the welder, the small business owner, the mom raising her kids in Ohio or Texas or anywhere in between. He's not beholden to the World Bank or the UN. He answers to the American people. And come August 1st, the world will either play fair or pay up. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Do you support President Trump's 30% tariffs? Are you tired of weak trade deals and sellout politicians? And don't forget, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. The left is trying to drown out conservative voices, but we're not going anywhere. This is a conservative current, where the current runs deep with truth, and we don't back down from a fight. Until next time, God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.